Hello, Mr. Chu here. Let's work a couple of SAT problems. So I'm up to video 8 now in module 2, and we will work two problems, two very different problems, number 19 and 20. So I have module 1 finished. It's 27 problems and 13 videos, and there will be a link at the end of this video for you to be able to click on and see those if you're reviewing for the test. Remember, the College Board released all these for your review, and I'm just taking them one at a time, trying to work them for you. Some will be easy, some will be hard. You need background information in algebra, geometry, and other math classes you've taken up to this point, preparing for this test. Like this video if it's helpful, and follow me on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and X for more of my math help videos. I do have a YouTube channel that you can subscribe to. Here is the long link you can put in a browser, but over here, if you're on a computer, you could see a subscribe link, and then it could be after this video on your device. If you have any questions about anything mathematical, send it to me. My contact information for people that watch my videos is askmrchu@gmail.com. So you can send me, I'll reply to your emails, and I may even make a video for you. So check that out. All right, number 19. If you want to pause this after I read the problem, go ahead and do so. Then work it out and then start the video back up. I'll explain it. You'll see if you did it right. If not, you can correct your work. Pause the video at any time if you need to stop and write something down. And then we'll do number 20 afterwards. So number 19 says the function h is defined by h of x equals 4x plus 28. So that's written in function notation. The graph of y equals h of x in the xy plane has an x-intercept of a0. Every x-intercept would have that y value 0, and then a is just going to be whatever number it crosses, the x-axis, and the y-intercept of 0b, once again, the x-coordinate would always be 0 where it crosses the y-axis, and b would just be the number where it crosses. Where a and b are constants, so they have to be a number, of course. Then it wants you to find a, find b, and then add them up. Okay. So you're saying, well, let's see, how can we talk about this? Well, let's talk about the standard form of a function. So you remember the slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b? That would be x-intercept being x0 and y-intercept being 0y. And b would be that also that y-intercept, and m would be the slope. And those are things you learned in your algebra class. So I can also write that as h of x equals mx plus b. So I can substitute the function h of every value x equals m of x plus b. And so really what it really means is that h of x equals y if you're not writing it in function form. So this particular function is h of x equals 4x plus 28. So 4 is going to be the slope. If you remember anything about slope-intercept form, you would know what b was. In this case, b is the y-intercept. But if you don't remember that, that's okay. We're going to go through and work through it as if you don't remember that. Okay? All right. So to find the x-intercept at a0, you substitute h of x equals 0 and h of x equals 4x plus 28. There's that function form. So I'm just going to put a 0 where this x is, h of x is. Because remember that y has to be 0 to find the x-intercept, and then we just have to solve this equation. So if I have 0 equals 4x plus 28, I need to subtract 28 from both sides using the subtraction property of equality. And 0 minus 28 is negative 28 equals 4x plus 0, which is 4x, because the plus 28 minus 28 is 0. Now I just have to get 1x by itself to find what that x coordinate is. So I subtracted 28 from both sides. Well, no, I mean, I'm sorry. That's too many things. I divide both sides by 4. Said that wrong, but I did correct myself. Well, look what happens here. This 4 over 4 is 1. And then I can take my 4 and divide it into my negative 28. And when I do that, I get negative 7 equals x. So now I can say that negative 7 zeros the x-intercept. So that means that negative 7 0, they're talking about it being written as a 0. So a has to equal that negative 7. Has to. So I found the x-intercept. Remember what he told you what the y-intercept was. You just substitute x equals 0 in our function. So I have h of 0 equals 4 times 0 plus 28. And we told you that if you remembered that, you would know that 28 would be the y-intercept. So 0, 28 is the coordinate. So if 0, 28 equals 0b, then b has to be that 28. So now I've got the two numbers. So a plus b is negative 7 plus 28. Negative 7 plus 28 is 21, which is choice A. And hopefully you were able to get that. Now we'll go to number 20. And remember, after I read the problem, you can go ahead and pause it so you can try to work it yourself. One of the factors of 2x to the third power plus 42x squared plus 208x is x plus b, where b is a positive constant. What's the smallest possible value of b? So b has to be the smallest factor that is also positive. So since we got x plus b, we're going to end up factoring this trinomial. So do you remember the first thing you're going to do when you learn to factor in your algebra class? The very first thing you're going to do, you're going to factor out the GCF. So how do I factor out the GCF of this problem? Well, the way that I always taught my pre-algebra and algebra students to do it was to write all the prime factors of each term. So I'm going to take 2x to the third, 42x squared, and 208x and write all the prime factors out. Now, some students that don't need to do this could automatically see the biggest term that I could divide all three of them by. And if you can see that, that's fine. If you can't, then here's a way you can do it. I take the first term, 2x to the third, and I write 2 times x times x times x, because that's the complete factorization of that first term. Then I take the second term of 42x squared. And 42x squared is 2 times 21. And 21 is 3 times 7, which means those three are primes. And then x squared is x times x. Then I do the 208x, which is 2 times 104, which is 2 times 52, which is 2 times 26, 2 times 26, which is 2 times 13 times x. Now, when you're using this method, you're going to take and you're going to circle what's in every one of them. So I'm going to circle what's in every one of them. So you see how I got a 2 in every one of them? So I circle it. I can't circle the x or the 3 or the 2 because those are different. Or the x7, 2, those are different. Or the xx2, those are different. But look, I've got 3 x's here. And they don't have to be right underneath each other. They just have to be in all 3. So now that we've done that, to find the GCF, you're going to take what you circled, 2, take what you circled, x, and multiply it, 2x. So 2x is the GCF, the biggest number you can divide each of those by. So I can take 2x times 2x squared. That's times x squared, so it was a typo. Let me get rid of that too. So there we go. So that's 2x times x squared. And where could I find that x squared if I'm just looking around up here? Could I find that x squared? Well, look what's not circled. X times x is x squared. And then I'd take my GCF, 2x times, what do you multiply 2x by to get 42x squared? Most people can just write it out, 21x. If you don't see that, look back up here. 3 times 7 is 21 times x, and circle 21x. Plus, there's my 2x. What do you multiply by 2x to get 208x? Most people know it's 104. If you don't know that, 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8, times 13 is 104. So once I have that 2x in all of them, I can factor that out and reverse the distributive property. So this is the GCF factored out of those remaining terms. And if I were to use the distributive property, I'm going to get my original expression up here. All right. So now I'm going to take and factor x squared plus 21x plus 104. So you have to find two numbers that multiplied together give me that 104. And when you add them together, you get 21. So you're thinking, how do I do that now? Well, I know that 104 now, we'll use the same logic that we used up here when we find the prime numbers, is 2 times 52. And I know that 52 is 2 times 26. And I know that the 26 is 2 times 13. And you could have found that in the 208x, which is right here. You could have found it there. All right. So now I need to take two numbers multiplied together that will give me 104. So it could be these four numbers multiplied together, these three numbers, or these two numbers. But 2 and 52 don't work because when I add them together, I get 54. And this is the way they taught you to factor in algebra class. And I need a 21. So if I take 2 times 2, which is 4 times 26, that gives me 30. It doesn't give me 21 when I add them up. But 2 times 2 times 2 is 8, and 8 plus 13 is 21. So that tells me that 8 times 13 is 104, and then 13 plus 12, 21, that should be 8. It's another typo here. I'm proofreading this while I work it out. So the 8 times 13 gives me my 104, which is your C. And your 8 plus 13 gives me 21. Well, what do I do with that? I put these in the two parentheses to factor this. So I say, what do I multiply by itself to get x squared? X and x. What do you multiply two numbers to get 104? Well, 8 and 13. Well, when you're doing FOIL, and I have some videos on my YouTube channel of me doing FOIL, and I also have other methods to multiply these. You can take your 13x plus your 8x to get your 21x. So look back what it's saying. You want it to be x plus b, so it's either x plus 8 or x plus 13, and it wants the smallest one. So that's pretty obvious. Be x plus 8 would be the smallest, so 8 is the smallest value of b. Aha, that was kind of tough, wasn't it? And this was an unusual video because it took a while to explain all that. Make sure you follow me on TikTok, follow me on Instagram, X, Facebook. I've got lots of videos. I post math videos. I also post videos of my puppies. There is a link to a video with all 27 problems worked in the playlist. Plus, in that playlist, all of the Module 1 problems are worked out on 13 videos. And this is my 8th one that's posted in the Module 2. Make sure that you subscribe to my YouTube channel and send me any emails with questions about math, and I want to answer them because I like helping math students. You can send that email to askmrchew@gmail.com. So help me spread the word. Mr. Chew wants to help students with math questions. I use videos. I have video curriculum or algebra that I call bare algebra. I have video curriculum for geometry I call BRAC geometry. For arithmetic and pre-algebra I call Trey arithmetic. I've started some math minutes, which is just various random math topics with just one or two problems worked. And I also have my SAT prep. So I'll see you in the next video, and I'm planning to do one or two more of these SAT videos soon and upload them from Module 2. And make sure you remember, tell everyone who struggles in math that I'm Mr. Chew and I want to help them, including you. And I'll see you in the next video.